That was here, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Utica, New York, Detroit, as far west as Tulsa, Oklahoma. 1968, the family sold out, and my father and my cousin soon after decided to kind of get back into the glass business. And so my father in 1977 started Perilestein Distributing Corp, PDC, out of Pittsburgh, and my cousin Bobby Silverstein started Arch Aluminum Glass in 1978. They had a location closest here in Saucon, New Jersey, where I know a few of you were a customer of Arch back in the day. So that's where the family came in. For me, even though the family was heavy into the glass business, I wanted nothing to do with this business, nothing at all. And those of you who know me now, I bleed the glass business. I love glass and glazing. So it's hard to believe when I look back at the 1990 version of me. I was doing sportscasting, I was doing sports radio, I was doing play-by-play. It was great. The money was terrible, but it was great. My brother came to me and he said, "Hey, give it a shot. I need you to come." We had a fabricator that's for PDC. He said, "We need people. Give it a shot. It's in your blood." Gave it a shot, and really kind of the rest is history. I'm all in. So the top pictures, the entire family, the Silversteins and the Perilesteins, and the bottom one was my wife Beth, who was in the glass industry. It's a little bit of a longer story, but she was custom. And I met her over the phone, and I've been married to her now for 32 years. So it's a great story, and I'm thrilled. That's why I love this industry. I have all of you. I got a wife, 2 kids out of it. You can't beat it. So me personally, what I do now is I own Sole Source Consultants, which is a consulting firm that helps people with marketing, research, different resources, some recruiting, basically anything you need. I can either do myself or find somebody who can do it for you. And that was hence the name Sole Source. Come to me and I can point you in the right direction. I started a blog in 2005, and that goes every Sunday. I've been blogging since 2005 every Sunday. I'll have a link at the end of my piece today that you can follow me on LinkedIn and get that blog every Sunday. I bring people up to date on what's going on in the industry, events like this, and so on. I started a podcast in 2021. There's a few people in the room that have been on the podcast, and I'm thrilled. I do that every month, and that has gone extremely well, continues to grow. It's a great medium, and so I invite you to check that out as well. Pat O'Connor was just on last month, did a great job. I've had Mark Rabinowitz on in the past, so it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I hope you check it out. All right, let's get into this. Taking a look back of where we're at, and here's the thing. It wasn't great, and I think you all knew that. So this is 2025. It was a battle, and again, you may not be able to see these things very well on the screen. If you want this presentation afterwards, just give me a card or connect with me on LinkedIn. I will get it to you. But if you look at what 2025 is, it finished down versus 2024. There's a lot of softness. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. It's definitely a soft market, especially up here in parts and pieces around here. So little challenges on this side of things. Some areas did better than others. Obviously, the data center thing we'll talk about did pretty well. In public safety, religious public safety had a nice little run, even though there's not a lot of high expectations for that going on in the future. But it is there, and it is something that is popular, at least in my mind. I put TG FDC says thank goodness for data centers, because that's going to be our key in our industry, I think. There are some battles there that I'll talk about, but that's a big key. And then the surprises. I'm very surprised the education numbers aren't better, because that work continues to go. There's a $1 billion FEMA grant that is now being put out to fortify schools to be not only safety, for bullet resistance and so on, but also for becoming shelters in storms, whether it's Superstorm Sandy or tornado or hurricane, whatever the case may be. It's $1 billion that's going to go to the schools to help improve that, and so that should trickle down to us. So 2025, not great. I think we all had hopes that as the year went on, things would settle down and it would be, it would get going. The initial forecasts in 2025 were by the end of the year things would kick in. Didn't happen for a multitude of reasons. So in 2026, and I'll talk about those reasons momentarily. 2026, this is the non-residential construction index by FMI, and I find this fascinating. They put this out quarterly, and it kind of gives you a feel for where the engineers, where the generals are starting to see things. And the arrows aren't great. The overall economy, as they see it, down. The economy where they do business, down. Engineering and construction business, down. Engineering and construction where they do business, up. So, but up very, very slightly. Backlog, down quite a bit actually. Cost of materials, surprisingly down. That will be down next quarter, guaranteed. Cost of labor, up a little bit, and then down on productivity. So not the greatest of times right now in 2026. We still have high hopes that things can turn around, but at the start, not great. So 2026, this is the AIA consensus forecast, and this pulls together a bunch of different forecasts from a bunch of different sources, all people with their fingers on the pulse, and they combine it and they come up with a consensus. And so you can see what they're looking at in 2026 and 2027. I usually tell people nowadays, you're going to see one forecast from me out to 2030. With all the uncertainty in our world and the way things change almost moment to moment, it's virtually impossible to predict 2027 and beyond. It's hard enough to predict, July at this point. But take these numbers kind of with a grain of salt. What's interesting on here is that the data center number is going to drop almost in half, and that's because you're seeing some pushback against data centers. Communities are starting to say, no, we don't want you. That's not good for us because data centers are starting to use glass now, and that'll be in the second half of my presentation. But there is that pushback, and that is a concern. Hotels looking pretty good going forward. Once again, education kind of flat, barely up. And so I have higher hopes than the other economists on that. The uncertainty has led to, basically, it's delaying everything. The jobs are being delayed. This is different than 2009 and 2010 when nobody had any money and we had the recession, there weren't jobs on the books. This is different. Now it's the uncertainty with their money, and everything is basically based on the economy. So 70% of every delay right now, of the delays are somewhere related to what's going on in the economy. The interest rates, the war in Iran, the lack of certainty of where things are going to go, the tariffs and so on. 70%, that's our issue. So what I decided to do is I put together a little run here of each segment, each category. And so you can kind of see where the predictions are. And again, you have to take these future years with a grain of salt. So it's funny, lodging down, though AIA consensus says it's going to be up. And so, it's not a perfect science, but it is something to keep in mind. And future going up. Office space going up, which is fascinating to me because that is a little bit of a battle. We'll talk about specifically Philadelphia, New Jersey on the office space momentarily. Very bullish on the office space. This is FMI, by the way. These are the stats from FMI. Commercial down, which we expect, and so that wasn't a surprise. The surprise is going forward later years, but again, we just don't know. Healthcare, shocking, just kind of medium, kind of just plugging along. Lots of money already spent in healthcare, and I think the logic there is, hey, the money's been spent, these hospitals and medical centers are already up, we don't expect a lot of new ones coming. Education flat, which you've heard me, I completely disagree with. We'll see who's right next year. Hopefully I'm invited back to the glass symposium and I can tell you I was right, or I can have a big batch of crow up here. As long as it's from Angela's down the street, which was really good last time, so they can put anything on that. Religious, 6% going up, then some downtimes. Hard to say if that's actually going to happen, but it should be a good year on the religious and public safety side. Public safety on its own, down 2%. That's also your police, law enforcement offices, things like that. It's a little bit janky also because you have the ICE facilities that may go up, may not go up. They don't have a lot of glass. We're not too worried about that. Amusement and recreation flat, coming off some decent times in the past, not looking good, at least next year a little bit down. So it's a mix. It's a mix. It's not all green, that's for sure. So we've got some of our work cut out for us. So by sector, when you look at the public side, the money's still there on the public side, which is good, which is helpful for all of us. Infrastructure is a big piece. Obviously it doesn't affect us, but things like healthcare, different housing projects are big. There's multi-year funding projects that are good for us. So public-wise, it's not dire. Private, though, a little more challenging on the private side. The money is being kind of held up, as I said before. That discretionary spend, not happening right now. The money's there, but it's not happening right now. There's definitely a wait-and-see attitude, which is a little frustrating, obviously. So I follow, those of you who do read my blog, I do follow the Architectural Billing Index and the Dodge Momentum Index. Those are kind of the main indexes our industry uses as a guideline and is based on how things are in the marketplace. And when you look at that, the ABI is measuring current design activity at the architectural firms. Dodge, as it says up there on the screen, tracks the value of projects entering the planning stage, setting a signal for future construction spending. So this is all the different leading indicators, lagging indicators, financial indicators. I won't go through them all, but you notice there's not a lot of green. Green is good, not a lot of green. Probably the one that jumps out at me is ABC, your contractors, your general contractors, still have a lot of confidence in the marketplace. And I think they probably have that confidence because they know, there is funding out there. They know these jobs are on the books and they're going to go. They just don't know when it's going to go, and that's why you see the backlog confidence down. So it's something to keep in mind. So again, a little different than, those of you who lived through 2008, 2009, 2010, I think you probably agree. It's just a little different now with regards to why the market's softer, where we're going with it. So the DMI just came out on the 17th, here 10 days ago, 12 days ago. Good news on the DMI, hotels, which had a nice little run in the month. Stores were up, education was up, that's one kind of thing. Healthcare up, even though some of the predictions are they'll be down for the year. Overall, though, commercial down quite a bit. But there are positives. There absolutely are positives. On the AIA side, the ABI just came out last Wednesday, the 22nd, so it comes out once a month. 49.8 was the score. Break even is 50, so it's almost a break even. The inquiries, though, that's going great. So that means there are people that, I know there's plenty of architects, several architects in the room. The inquiries are coming in. People are interested. There is a desire to build. There is a desire to retrofit, remodel, you name it. And so it's there, and it was the highest rating since June of 2022, which, if memory serves me, that was a pretty good time around the country in June of 2022. It was busy. So that could be coming our way. At least there's confidence in that. And I don't want to sit here and be negative. I do think that the issue is the delays. And it's funny, the quote that I pulled was, quote, "Everything goes on hold nonstop. Owners are afraid of world conditions." That's it. Right now it's just such a funky time. It's hard to make a decision. And that's what's hamstringing us. We've got to get past that somehow, some way. And it depends on the timing when that happens, but that's what's hamstringing us right now. It's just the uncertainty is a killer. Locally, Philadelphia, some people are probably doing better than others, some people are doing worse than others, whatever the case may be. It is considered to be in a recovery phase, which is good. The volatility that you may have experienced in Philadelphia is over, things are stabilizing, and demand is starting to come back. The eds and meds are looking very positive. Life science and lab space at the university level looking good, public investment looking good. Weaknesses, that's the office side. The go back to office has not really affected the Philly market yet. Also, building new offices is not prevalent in the Philly area yet, at least from the research I did. And then private development, just as I've noted all before nationally, private development is very cautious. And so Philadelphia just following that same path. Philadelphia is not a high growth market. So I was in Texas last week. Texas is a high growth market right now still. They consider that they're slow in Texas, and I told them that the other 49 states would kill to be Texas slow because they're busy compared to what other states are in the country, especially states like Massachusetts. Nobody wants to be Massachusetts right now. It's awful up there. So Philadelphia, not high growth, but it's stable, which I think all of you would take and want. So looking at New Jersey, obviously the industrial side is always very popular, will continue to be popular. Data centers. And I will talk about data centers in the second half of my piece, but data centers are going to be a big piece in New Jersey and other pieces. Hopefully they don't get run into by some of the regulations out there, but it is growing, and when it's growing quietly, it's because people with the data centers, for a lot of different reasons, do not want to bring a lot of attention to it. But again, it will be good for glass. Healthcare and public projects, love it for New Jersey, that's fantastic. Once again, the weaknesses, similar to the Philadelphia office, is rough. And there is some residential slowdown of building there. So, New Jersey, stable, more stable than you think. And again, I would say Philly and New Jersey are in much better shape than states like I mentioned before, like Massachusetts, much better than Illinois, for that instance, where I'm from, Michigan. So I think you're in definitely a better place than those areas are. So that's something to take away from it. And going forward, where you're in good shape is Philadelphia is expected to have a little bit of steady growth into 2027. Take it. I don't think any of you would, not accept a 2 to 4% growth aspect next year. You want more, we all want more, but you would take that. Jersey a little bit better, mostly pushed by the logistics, but also, not sad, if it's being pushed by the data centers, which could be good. Stable markets are good markets for us, and so that's what we want. So, before I tell you what's going on this afternoon, I have to show this video to you just because I get a kick out of this. This is your spouse, your friend, whatever. This is a relationship that is really kind of something else. The guy in the orange shirt is handing I assume, his wife oranges that he's pulled. She doesn't like any of them, so let's watch this video. So she doesn't like any of them. She looks at it, no. Now watch what he starts to do. He decides, I'm just going to pull the ones that she likes. She looks at it, no, don't look at it. Then he pulls another one. She looks at it. She even, no, I don't like it. These are the ones she picked. This one I love the most. She grabs it. She smells it. No, don't like it. She already picked it. So that just shows you your relationship sometimes out there, can be a little bit of challenge in what you like, other people may not. So I get a kick out of that one. I have to share that with you. This afternoon, I've got product trends. I've got the top 10 trends in the glass and glazing industry. A lot of people in this room are among those trends, so you vendors, I think, will be excited about it. I've got industry news that I think is really important for everybody, especially with regards to a glass shortage as a potential happening, so you want to hear about that, resources that you may not be aware of, and some events to keep your eye on. And of course, I've got Archie Goldsmith from United General on this case study, really cool case study, a little different than you may be expecting, that it's really neat. He and his team did a great job there in DC, and I'm excited for him to present that. So with that, I really appreciate your time this morning. I'm excited to see what Scott and the gang do with AGMT, which is next. I am around, we'll be at lunch, and of course I'll be talking this afternoon. So I appreciate your time so far this morning, and I will see you as the day goes on. Thank you.